Yeah, I'm back with another game pickups video. Not a whole lot, the usual type of stuff. Yeah, let's just get into it. So first, for the games, I got an amiibo. It's Zelda from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I never played the original Skyward Sword game, and I don't really have any interest in the remaster, but saw a bunch of these on clearance at Target. I think it was like, they were literally $7, and the original price was like $20-$25, which is kind of steep for an amiibo. So, like I said, I saw a whole bunch of them on, like, probably 20 something of them on clearance, 15 or 20 of them, for $7, which was a hell of a markdown. So I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in the game or anything, but, it's there, $7, why not? Next, a few Genesis games, which I haven't played any of them yet. The first one is Risk. And I just dropped one. Still good. No death rattle. Anyway, Risk. Based off the classic board game, which... this one was kind of a whim buy. It was only like a few bucks. And I remember some of these 16-bit board game titles being halfway decent, so I was like, why not? Next one, The Ooze, a game I've always wanted to play, which, I haven't played it yet, which, you play as, like, this blob creature and do things, or stuff. Yeah. And the last one is Exo Squad, which the end level is kind of torn, but that's okay. Based off the animated sci-fi drama series from the early 90s, which very underrated. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in my underrated 90s cartoon video that I did a while back. So I'm not going to go into all the story and everything, but I think I remember vaguely, playing this when I was a kid. Well, that was the Super Nintendo version, but but it's basically a shooter game. It goes back between some levels are rail shooters, others are side-scrolling shooters, because I love those type of games. And I was like, sure. And I'm trying to work on my Genesis collection a bit. Like, even though I'm playing games that I haven't really played yet, but whatever. For the X-Bone, we got Aliens Fireteam Elite. I remember seeing the trailer for this a while back, and I thought it looked really good. Then it was one of those games that I had actually forgotten about until it was being released. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was coming out. Anyway, the best way to describe this game, it's a lot like Left 4 Dead. You encounter like xenomorphs, like there'll be a few of them here and then like a huge wave of them will come up where you have to set off some type of device that'll trigger a huge swarm of them. And then there's like special xenomorphs that are like stronger and have like different abilities and things like that. And there's other enemies as well, but I won't spoil it in case anybody hasn't played yet. It's not just xenomorphs, there are other types of enemies. The story is a little mediocre in my opinion. Like, it's not that great. One thing that kind of turned me off a little, it's not a huge deal, but it's just one of those things, like, really? Is the characters' mouths don't move when they talk. I'm like, what am I playing, like a PS1 game or something? I mean, PS1, great games and everything, but, and the game is hard, very hard. You have different classes, like, which have different abilities and everything. Obviously it's meant to be more of a co-op game, like, same with Left 4 Dead. So you can play alone or with, like, 2 AI bots or something, whatever you choose to do, even though your AI comrades are idiots. But overall, it's a pretty good game. So now we got 2 Switch titles. These are the last ones. The first one is WarioWare, Get It Together. Now, I think it was even before E3, I'd been saying, like, I would love to see a new WarioWare game come to the Switch, and then they announced it at E3. So, yeah, it's your basic WarioWare game. You know, you have all these different mini games or micro games, basically, um, and you have there's a ton of them. There's a ton of playable characters too. Um, you know, you can play as like and you can like actually mix and match, like use different characters for the different. Once you unlock all the micro games, like you can use the characters in like other games and stuff. You know, there's multiplayer games. Where was I going with this? Story was a little, yeah, because it has a story. That's actually how you unlock the micro games and all the characters. Which the story was, it's all right. Um, but where was I going with this? You know, and obviously there's like the different types of games and stuff, like, you know, different categories, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And one thing that's pretty cool is that you can collect coins, these special kind of coin things, which you use to buy items that are called prezzies, and then you give them to the characters, the crew as they call them, and they level up. And as they level up, you can change their colors, like their color scheme and stuff, which, you know, little bit of customization, not like a huge thing, but it still is, I mean, it's not like a huge, extremely detailed customization, but just for what it is, it's kind of cool how you can do that. And the micro games are very addicting and a lot of fun. You know, these games kind of always reminded me of like those classic arcade games like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. Like, you know, those type of games, they don't have an end. They just go on and on and on to see how high a score you can get. And that's kind of what the micro games are. Like, except that obviously they're not as like detailed as like something like Pac-Man or Donkey Kong, but it's kind of the same idea. You just keep going until you see how high a score you can get, and like I said, it's very addicting. So the last game, Metroid Dread. Yeah, I picked this up on launch day. You know, I bought it at my local Walmart, and then the kid behind me, the customer behind me at the electronics department was like, "Is that a new Metroid game?" I was like, "Yep, just came out today." And so basically, well, this takes place, you know, because obviously the Metroid timeline can be all over the place. Like, it's not as confusing as Legend of Zelda, but, you know, it's... So, it takes place after Metroid Fusion, which takes place after Super Metroid, which takes place after Metroid 2 Return to Samus, which takes place after the original Metroid. So it's the classic side-scrolling style, or 2D style, I should say, you know, action platformer, Metroidvania type of game. The plot is that the X-virus parasite creature from Fusion is possibly still alive. So Samus heads to their planet where they originated from, but she ends up crash landing on the planet, and then she loses all her weapons and abilities and has to try and reclaim them. And she encounters, like, you know, obviously alien life forms and stuff, as well as this new enemy called the Emmy, you know, the robots, which I'm sure you've seen from the trailers. You know, there's pictures of them all over the box, or case, whatever. And these things are immune to all of Samus's weaponry, except for one, which I'll talk about in a moment. You know, each of them guards, like, a different area. Cat jumped. Each of them guards, like, a different area. Like, they can't leave that. Like, one is confined to a certain area. Like, it's like a big whole bunch of corridors or rooms and stuff, but they can't leave that general area. You know, like, once you're out of that area, you're good. And like any Metroid game, you gain different abilities and stuff, so you can get access to areas that you couldn't before and whatnot. And so, like, once you get access to different areas, you're able to find that weapon that can destroy the Emmy, which these you know, this weapon upgrade is like a temporary thing. Like, you use it, it's like it'll last until you kill the Emmy, but then it'll like go offline again, so you can't use it again. So basically, the thing is, you have to keep running from the Emmys. Like, you have to try and try and evade them and avoid them and stuff. Because if they scan you or pick you up in their radar thing, they'll start chasing after you. You have to try and outrun them, or like you can like fight them off, like give them a temporary stun, but it's very tricky to do. It's like a very precise timing. That being said, the item, like when you, and even when you have that weapon that destroys the enemy, it's like what you do is you go into this like aim mode, like it's semi 3D. It's not like the kind like whoa, it's not anything. Cat's freaking out because I was being too loud. It's like a precise aim. It goes into like this 3D aim mode, and then the enemy will start approaching you, and you shoot the gun in like its standard mode, which is like a machine gun, and it basically heats up the enemy's like faceplate, and then it heats up and like breaks it, and then it's like you can kind of see it on the picture there, like right at the top there where its head is, like it's exposes like the robotics and stuff, and then you charge up the weapon and it shoots like a beam which destroys the enemy, and then you usually get a new power up or something. Yeah, the game is, it's not hard, but it's like, well, it is, and it's like the hard, like the good challenging type of way, and it's easy to get lost, but those really aren't a bad thing, because that's, I think, kind of always been the case with Metroid games. It's, I love a good challenge. It's part of the reason I love Metroid games. There's also some familiar faces, like boss-wise. Again, won't spoil anything, but overall, it's a really good game. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a Metroid fan. And if you're a Metroid fan or a fan of especially a fan of like the 2D style Metroid games, I highly recommend checking it out. So that's all my pickups. Until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.